Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, and I have some company with me. Window one, my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco from the Bronx. I'm your host, Richie. Next to me, my main man, Mr. Noah Chamness, via Eustis, Florida. How you doing, buddy? Give me a high five. Welcome to the show.
Yep.
We're going to talk to you in a minute about your football day yesterday. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I'm going to link this out to some of my socials. And then we are going to get flying on a very shocking, quite shocking wild card weekend that is still not over. The weekend extends into today on Martin Luther King Day. Unbelievable, some of the events that have already occurred. The Green Bay Packers making a massive statement, becoming the first 7 seed to ever win a playoff game. We've also got CJ Stroud looking like a 12-year veteran.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Noah, I think it's making you actually quite nervous to see what happened in the league yesterday. Go ahead. You're going to be nervous, buddy.
Well, don't be nervous.
You're amongst family and friends here.
So,
Don't be nervous.
Would you like to go ahead? You
about
can.
the Packers?
Yeah, it's okay. Go,
Yeah,
talk
you know
about the back.
about Packers? Okay. Yesterday, the
They beat the Cowboys. Yes, we know.
Yeah.
Cowboys. Okay, the Cowboys didn't stand a chance.
No, they did not. That is factual, Noah. Why do you think that is? Do you think it was because they overlooked the Packers and they took them lightly?
Yeah.
Now, you made a proclamation to me yesterday about team affiliation because you told me a couple of weeks ago that when the Packers and Giants play, it's too emotional for you. Now, explain to our viewing audience, why do you like the Packers?
Because I was them before.
You played flag football on the Packers. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you have kind of like a bond to them because of my late father. You mentioned that to me and the other day that because my dad liked them, you like them too, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And as the Giants go, you love them too. So you basically said that if the Packers and Giants cross paths, what did you say? It's kind of like a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So no, there's no, you don't feel like you lose in that situation.
Yeah. I feel like I win no matter what happens.
I like that.
I win. So.
You set yourself up to not be disappointed.
I still win.
I like it.
That's what I was
like
talking about. You know
Well,
something, Noah? You
Go
my
ahead.
man for that. Say that. Yeah.
Give him a 5. Give him a 5.
Yeah,
Give him a
let's
5. Give him a
high
5.
five. Give me a high five.
All right, now Noah, we're gonna move this to the Packer game, so we're gonna speak on this here. I'm gonna introduce it, and Mr. Idris has a graphic that we're gonna hit on, so I'm gonna let Idris get on this once I do my introduction here. The Packers win a shocker, 48-32, behind 3 touchdowns from running back Aaron Jones, who had 24 family members at the game. Yeah, he's from Texas originally. He's an Army kid.
Yep.
So he had a lot of his family. He has a twin brother who he threw a touchdown pass to after they scored. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
A lot of questions come from this. It goes without saying that Matt LaFleur and his guys deserve a ton of credit. Jordan Love, his first playoff game, just really exceeding any reasonable expectations. And, you know, this leaves Dallas in a weird position because this doesn't hit the same way as losing to the 49ers the last couple of years. This is like pretty wild. You know, you're talking about a team that was expected to go to the title game, and now to leave this early to the lowest seeded team that was only a game over 500, pretty remarkable. The Packers beat them by worse than 16 points. It was utter domination. The game was not even moderately close. Mike McCarthy did not have his team ready. And while CeeDee Lamb seemed calm when he was getting schooled by Dak as well as Mike, it seemed like there was some weird dissension. Micah Parsons, really a non-factor. Jordan Love wasn't sacked. Just unreal.
You know, and this is what I had questioned. I was like, who's the vocal leader on the team? When I looked at the Cowboys sidelines, you go back to Dez Bryant, how he was so emotional, how he's like, look, he would just lose it, but it would pump the team up. But when
Yes.
you looked at the Cowboys yesterday, you didn't see anyone on the sidelines like, yo, this is our house. Let's ball. Let's play. Jimmy Johnson gave the best speech at halftime during the show. And you like, come on, you are the number 2 seed. This is your best chance to make it to the Super Bowl.
In a long time.
Stick it up. You go down 48-16 on your own field against the youngest team in the league.
The pick sixes were egregious. Packers win doesn't come without a loss. We'll see how Jair Alexander recovers because he was already playing hurt. He did have a big pick. I think the thing that really shocked me is that they said it best on NFL Today.
Mm-hmm.
When you are essentially playing children in terms of years in the league versus a team full of stars, the Green Bay Packers do not have a Pro Bowl player. Do I think Jordan Love deserved it? Maybe. Maybe he got snubbed. But ultimately, the point is they didn't have one.
Not one.
And for them to go into this kind of game and put that beat down on them, it's hard to believe that the Cowboys did not overlook these guys.
Yeah, they had to. And like the graphic, I link post this graphic right quick. It's basically speaking about Mike McCarthy. They got rid of Kellen Moore because they said Kellen Moore didn't run the ball. But if you look at this, you see Kellen Moore actually ran the ball. It dropped a little bit when McCarthy took over as head coach, but it went up. And when McCarthy took back over, you see rushing went down 322 yards.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of yards. And then you look at the passing. But passing went up. But see, the onus was supposed to come off of Dak and be more of a passing team. With Zeke Elliott rushed for 642 yards. However, Rico Dowdle got just over 300 yards. Tony Pollard barely made 1,000 yards, 1,005 yards. Dowdle had 361. Pollard had 1,007 last year. Zeke had 876 last year. So you got to wonder, was it really Kellen Moore's fault? I mean,
another thing too, going into this ball game, the stock for Dan Quinn was at an all-time high.
Golly.
And now you're talking about a scenario where Dan Quinn, I know friend of the show, Dallas superfan Mike Zappi said, they don't want to lose Dan Quinn even if we make the NFC title game. Mike's not safe. Mike is pretty much as good as gone after a loss of these proportions. But this is the thing. With that Seattle job open, do they even want him right now? Because as much as it would be very easy to blame Dak Prescott, to blame the head coach Mike McCarthy, you have to give just as much, if not more, to the defense. Because at the end of the day, while Dallas did take a long time to get cooking on offense, you're talking about 32 points on the board. Most times in the playoffs, if you're able to produce 32 points of offense, you're going to win most of those games. They could not stop anyone yesterday.
You know what? I would give Dak gave up 14 points. I'll say that the pick six and the one pick with Jair.
Yeah, that was right in front of the doorstep. Yeah.
But other than that defense gave up a lot easily. You had 2 plays of 20, 30 yards where the receiver was like wide open. Romeo Dobbs and the tight end wide open. You're like, where's the coverage? That's on him. Now, if he went to Seattle, if Dan Quinn went to Seattle, I could see him working in Seattle because Seattle has those vocal. You got Bobby Wagner. You got them leaders on the side like, look here, let's ball. But I said, Micah Parsons, where were you? You did all this talking on podcasts. Marcus Lawrence, you did all this talking, flashing your chains. Y'all did all this talking all season. Marcus Lawrence wasn't even there. Micah Parsons didn't get a sack. His best hit was on a hit that was actually a late hit.
Yes, it was. And that's another thing, too. It's kind of like a rite of passage. I know that the announcers were kind of making light of Micah Parsons being a beneficiary.
No, you interrupt you. I'm not bashing the Cowboys. I'm bashing the leadership. Go ahead.
No, it was non-existent yesterday. CeeDee Lamb looked like a deer in headlights when Dak was trying to take the leadership role.
Yeah,
I will give Dak credit for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a man to take full responsibility when you fail. I give him a lot of respect for that. Because he is a great guy. And when they told him about potentially a coaching change, he said, well, if you're going to get rid of my coach, he praised Mike McCarthy for the great season he had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it takes a real leader to put his own neck on the line and said, well, if you're going to get rid of him, you might as well get rid of me too.
Right.
Now, as far as the other events go with the leadership in the game,
mm-hmm.
The late hits. It's a rite of passage that when you're a young quarterback, you're not going to get those calls. Micah Parsons, similar to Kayvon Thibodeau, other good pass rushers in this league, a lot of times get held. They don't get the calls. The referees were making light of how on the same drive, Micah got two beneficiary holding calls, which I'll be honest, he gets held a lot.
Yeah.
But the Lawrence Taylor comparisons need to cease for a little while.
Yeah.
I think he's a phenomenal player, and if he's as good as I think he is, he will be better for this. But I say to myself, where does Dallas go from here? And it's hard for me to believe that they're not going to reach out at minimum and inquire about the availability of Bill Belichick, because his teacher, Bill Parcells, in the final stop of his coaching career, actually went to Dallas. He kind of put the team together with Romo, T.O., those characters, Jason Witten, that were the one seed. Yes, that were the one seed when the New York Giants defeated them in 2007 en route to an improbable Super Bowl win over the previously undefeated New England Patriots. So while I don't think it's set in stone that he's their guy, when you get cut up the way they did, I have a hard time believing that Dan Quinn's going to be the guy that gets promoted. I think he's gone. And I think it's going to be a clear thing. Dak stays for now. I do believe that much. He had an MVP caliber year. He had a horrible day. I give him credit for owning it. A lot of guys run away from failure. One thing I respect about Dak Prescott is that he's not a coward. When things don't go his way, he raises his hand. That is a sign of genuine leadership. But there's more going on behind closed doors that I can't quite put my finger on, but this is beyond devastating for a franchise that at minimum was expecting to be in the title game.
No, I look at it this way, and everyone knows I trash Dak Prescott. I'm a trash talker, but I'll give him his due. And he's a great guy off the field. Can't question that, but I'm going to take that great guy off the field out of the equation because we're talking football. If you look at some of the greatest quarterbacks, Peyton,
Ben,
Brady,
Montana.
You look at them if something was going wrong, they were vocal on the field. It wasn't like, look, okay, look, we need to get it. Look at Peyton Manning.
Dude, even though you want to talk about former Cowboys, Cowboy Troy Aikman. If his O-line was stinking it up, he would get in the face of those guys.
He would. And see, that's the type of leader you need. And like I said, I keep going back to Des Bryant. Des Bryant got crucified by his acts, but see, he's like, look, I'm emotional. I'm trying to pump up the team. You got to have, as bad as our Giants team, we got a guy like even Saquon. But look, man, we need a ball. Philly, as bad as they are, they got that person, but not like they used to have. But Dallas, who is the leader? Micah Parsons. I'm gonna keep going back to him. If you are being compared to Lawrence Taylor, you need to be that vocal leader. You never saw Lawrence Taylor sitting on the sideline. We getting that butt whooped, and he just sitting there like
looking defeated and disinterested. Because when you're getting compared to those generational kind of guys, you have to check and keep checking all these various boxes.
We had Harry Carson.
Harry Carson was
Paul Banks, all of them.
Yeah, and even if you look at Dallas teams of yesteryear. You talk about leaders. It goes without saying that Emmett and Troy were the obvious ones. Michael Irvin was a firecracker. He was an emotional guy. But even the O-line members.
Yes, Mark Tuinei, rest in peace.
Literally took the name out of my mouth. Mark Tuinei was one of those guys. Daryl Moose Johnston, fullback. They had their share. Yes, they had their share of guys. But they said it best on the morning show. The Dallas Cowboys and the way that Jerry sells this, it's kind of like false prophecy at this point.
A circus, man. He's selling a show.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm a Cowboy hater, but we're talking football. He's selling a show. He's selling a product rather than say, look, we got to win. Robert Kraft, I give him props. He stayed out of the business. This is my coach. This is my GM. I'm writing the checks.
He learned his lesson because he and Bill Parcells bumped heads many years ago. Noah, is there anything that you want to add to this with the Packers destroying the Dallas Cowboys before we move it along to the next topic? Anything that you want to say?
Oh, I have one more thing to show you. It's going to surprise you really good.
I'm going to surprise me. Okay. Well, you do you, and I'm going to be here.
Boy, man.
Yeah, he's funny, man. He's really funny.
I'm sitting there watching. I was trying not to laugh, but he had me over here inside like.
You know what's funny? You know what's really cool, to be honest? Like, so he likes this is my Yankee room in the house.
Yeah.
So when Noah comes in here, he really likes asking a ton of questions. He wants to know every story. So he's looking at Babe Ruth.
Oh man.
He's like, "Who's that?" I explain it to him. He watched 61 on his own. I didn't push him to do it. Yes, he did. He really likes that movie. He watched the giant DVDs on his own. Didn't push him to do that, but he likes asking a lot of questions. So I explained to him because he associated the Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris picture with the 61 movie.
Oh, okay.
He called my mother about a month ago and told her that Babe Ruth is his favorite character. Yeah, Noah has an intrigue with history in general, just learning, like he's like every other kid. He's into dinosaurs, he's into a lot of learning, but he loves asking questions, like even with the Subway Series cars. Yeah. He wants to know where the 4 takes you. He wants to know where the 7 takes you.
Oh man.
Yeah, a lot of questions. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, he wants to get with my nephew on my nephew's Twitch for the video games. So I'm gonna let him get on that eventually when we get some time.
The pool comes all the way up to the Bronx too.
Yes.
And there's some new hats that I saw like these.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a group on Facebook called Hardcore Blue. We're fans of these guys. Good people there.
I didn't know a Hardcore Blue hat.
I sure did. And I like to wear this with my Color Rush white jerseys.
Oh.
Yeah. So you let me know what hats you like, Noah, and we'll start getting you a little bit of a collection. You do me one favor, something? Can you just please close that door for us?
Oh.
I don't want to jump off the subject, but how long you had the Hardcore Blue hat?
Oh man, it's been around for a minute. Jen's been on me because Jen got this thing about cleaning hats. Yeah, she's been on me for a minute about that. But we're gonna move it along to the Detroit Lions. Shout out to my cousin AJ Santoro, finally seeing what it looks like to see his team win a playoff game. Jared Goff, small measure of revenge, finally. Because he was kind of like the backstory of the Matthew Stafford trade. He wasn't a feature of it. Matthew Stafford had the instant success, winning a Super Bowl for the Rams.
Yeah,
Goff took the hits in Detroit, gets this team along with the tutelage of first-time coach Dan Campbell, the former Cowboy, the former Giant tight end. And this is a team that is one game away from the NFC title game.
It's not inconceivable they can get there.
Not by any means. And they're going to play the winner of tonight's game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles. One last closing thought on Dallas that I did want to mention.
Mm-hmm.
The Detroit Lions, in a lot of people's measures, probably should have won that game a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So when I revisit that game and look at everything that happened, I do believe to a measure the Green Bay Packers very much so revisited that game. Because Dallas, while I think they're a lot better than what they played yesterday, they did show a propensity to struggle against the run. I remember the first 3 or 4 plays of that game.
Mhm.
Aaron Jones was running into his lineman. He was getting roughed up.
Yeah.
Green Bay did not panic.
Nope.
With the initial emotional bang of the crowd.
Yep.
They stuck to their game plan.
Mhm.
And Jordan Love just showed next level bravery and ascension, which really impressed me. Because I said it off air, I said it on air. Aaron Rodgers had a way in AT&T Stadium. I did not think without Aaron Rodgers they would be able to pull this off. No indictment on Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like a kind of a little too early in the kid's career. But back to Detroit.
But let me add a tidbit to that.
Yeah.
I had saw this morning where they said Green Bay has more playoff wins in AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys had.
Pretty remarkable. And that also
insane.
speaks on how new that stadium is, because you got to remember,
Mm-hmm.
Tony Romo only had 2 career playoff wins,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Mr. Prescott. You know, so there's a lot of mediocrity there. And I always tell people this. Good friend of the show, shout out NFC Beast, Keith Woolridge.
Mm-hmm.
He and I had a conversation once where he said, bro, why does everybody hate us like on that level? Outside of our foes that are obvious, Giants, Eagles, Redskins, Commanders, you know. Yeah. I said, bro, I'm going to tell you the truth. They are the equivalent of what the New York Yankees are in baseball. Because whether you love them or hate them, you always talk about them. The Dallas Cowboys are the richest franchise in American sport.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, whether they're putting out a good product, a medium product, a shit product, an in-between product, they are going to always be spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, they have a great deal of success for a team that in the grand scheme of things, came out in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So, I believe Bill Belichick, and this is funny, I'm going to shout out Zappy on this, because I legitimately did not believe that Zappy was even in the stratosphere of being on point when he had originally said it. But now, I actually tend to agree with Zappy. About Belichick potentially coming over. As much as things change, do they really? Aaron Rodgers following Brett Favre, Jets. I really could see Belichick going there. I really mean that.
It's possible. It's just my thing. I think is about the
he's a defensive guy, and when it comes from star power, they have a lot.
I just think it's more about they would have to come to an agreement.
These Lions for a second.
They would have to come to an agreement about the press thing. Who's in charge? Because, like I said, I think that would be the deciding factor. Jerry, you can't always be in the press talking.
Yeah, I think Belichick is going to make that abundantly clear if he takes over that organization.
Yeah,
that I'm not part of a circus. I run a program here. Noah, if you were a coach for a team like the Cowboys, would you want to be all the time talking to the media, or would it be more like, shh, I'm working?
I'd be like more talking because like go.
So
I want people. Like,
so you're a showman, is what you're saying. You want to be on the camera.
No, I'm not hiring you as my coach.
That's okay.
I'm joking with you, man. I'm joking. That's Jerry Jones right there.
All right, we're gonna move it along to the Lions.
That's little Jerry right there.
Lions party like it's 91. Jared Goff, as I already alluded to, small measure of revenge against his former team. Stafford got traded. We know the story. He won a bowl. Yeah. This team is 1 game away from the NFC title game. And the crazy thing is, they will be favored next week, no matter who wins today's game with the Eagles and Bucks. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal that you have a possibility that the NFC North could be representing the NFC title game, because the Packers, after what I saw yesterday, I can't count them out against the Niners.
No.
I absolutely cannot count them out against the Niners.
No.
I also think it's kind of wacky that the Lions, who are not as highly seeded as the 49ers, are going to get a better matchup than the 49ers are. It's just the luck of the draw sometimes.
Jared Goff, man, I mean, if this guy gets them to the Super Bowl, they're gonna build a statue for this guy. Because he's already, like, they show the picture of the 89-year-old guy who's been a season ticket holder for so many years that he's sort of last Lions.
Yeah, you're talking pre-merger, bro.
Yeah, pre-merger. And to see him there, and so many people didn't get a chance to see the Lions make it to the play and win a playoff game
Right.
at home, the first playoff game they won at home since 1957.
Unbelievable.
And like I said, they can win next week against either team, though. That's a good matchup for either team. Is a good matchup for Detroit.
Yeah, because I felt that a bad matchup for Detroit, not bad, but a game that they might not win would have been if they drew Dallas again.
Yeah.
I thought if they ran into Green Bay in round 1, that would have been bad for them.
That might have been a tough one.
Right. The Lions, as far as I'm concerned, should be in the title game. Are they going to play the Packers or the 49ers? That's the question. I mean, it goes without saying the 49ers are the favorite, but there is something very intriguing about this Packer team right now. As the Rams go, got to give them some credit in defeat. Kyren Williams, rookie kid out of Notre Dame, he was injured. Matthew Stafford was evaluated for a concussion. He wasn't his best. Cooper Kupp, kind of a no-show.
Yeah.
And I got to say, they overachieved this year. This was not a team that was expected to be anywhere near sniffing the playoffs. So this is a success for the Rams. Aaron Donald, a year older, but still carving out that Hall of Fame career, goes without saying. What does this team need in the offseason, in my opinion? They got to shore up that secondary.
They have to.
They got to shore up that secondary. You getting tired, kiddo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a kid who's tired.
That's all right.
I had 6 of them.
I'm not tired. I just woke up like this morning.
Because you were talking about raking leaves later with me. We'll see. We'll see how that plays.
Man, get the rest. But of all of them, they were doubling, tripling Aaron Donald. I was like, wow. But Nacua, that kid is going to be something. Golly, that kid.
I don't view him as just a beneficiary of being opposite of a superstar. I think he very much so is getting to that level where he could run his own routes.
Yeah.
And what I like about guys like that, they talked about it during the game a few weeks ago when they played our team. He's the type of player that he will literally ask Cooper Kupp every last question as long as Cooper Kupp is willing to give him answers. And when you're a veteran and when you see that kind of commitment from a young guy, it's hard not to love it because, that's a guy that knows how fortunate he is to be in that position.
Yeah.
There are different junctures in your career where you might be on the way in, another guy might be on the way out, where you have those key moments where you could really pick somebody's brain and enhance your craft. And I think that kid really gets it. McVay did a great job this year. Let's not lose sight of that. This was a game that I said going in could go either way. I clearly can't even pick my nose because I'm only 1 of 4. If I'm right today twice, it kind of salvages, the week for me. But I'm not too embarrassed about the Packers winning because of the sheer fact that nobody picked them.
Especially not the way they won.
No, not by any means. We'll talk about one that I was right about.
Yeah.
Frozen fish. Is Mike McDaniel on the hot seat going into next year? And what's next for the Dolphins after their lackluster performance in Kansas City as the Chiefs go? They will be heading to Buffalo next week, barring a Steeler win today.
Yeah.
I think the Buffalo Bills should win today. I'll enhance my my reasoning on that towards the end of the show. But this is one of those situations where, yes, the Dolphins dealt with injuries. Yes, they dealt with cold that they're just not used to. But I also think that what the Dolphins really were done in by was lack of focus.
Yeah.
Going back, you could read the headlines. Yeah, you can read them. I think it was lack of focus in a big way because going back to that Tennessee loss, that's what kind of spiraled everything out of control where they allowed Buffalo to steal the division. That's where it all started when they had the dual Monday night doubleheader. That's where the wheels started gradually falling off.
Yeah, and they beat one team with a winning record. That was Dallas.
Correct.
And they just when they were going into Kansas City, I mean, I said right out there, I said they're not going to win there. They're not going to win there. That's a cold place. Two was there, and I knew they weren't going to win that game. They're too one-dimensional. They're exciting to watch, but it's just like what Stephen A. Smith said about the Cowboys yesterday. They never change anything up. They run the same plays out of the same sets. So you could pretty much say, okay, we know they're going to. Could they shut down everything? Kansas City shut down everything Miami did. It's like they just ran the same stuff. You can't. And they played them in London earlier. You got to switch. You played the same team again. You can't. You can run the same play, but change your sets up.
I do want to ask you this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Last year, Zappy and I constantly complained about the Dolphins not running the ball enough.
Yeah.
Now, we know that in a pass-happy, pass-first league, the pass opens up the run. And I mean, you're talking about Raheem Mostert that scored more touchdowns this year than he did in his entire career combined.
Yes.
You know, tying Christian McCaffrey for most scores in the league at the running back position.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely a freeze of mine in our fantasy league. But more important than that, do you think that it was a little misleading because of the fact that some of those stats were accrued during blowout time, running away time, that maybe it doesn't, the statistics don't necessarily speak on the full body of what was real and what was like a little bit of kind of like a pile on, if that makes any sense?
I think it's 50-50. I think a lot did come from garbage time. I mean, I think most is good because Oh
no, I'm impressed with what he did, and I know Achane is the man in waiting if he can stay healthy in his own right.
Yeah, and but I think a lot of it is because they put a lot of points on a lot of teams when it was basically over, and I think it's more 50-50. I think I think most of Achane is good. I think they get it done. But yeah, I think it's 50-50. And when they were challenged against good teams, they couldn't.
Yeah. They did beat Dallas in a game that Dallas almost won.
Yeah. But Dallas's weakness is what? Stopping the run.
Indeed. They did get beat by Philly.
Yeah.
The sweep at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. And even when they played teams of lesser caliber, they didn't necessarily always look all of that impressive. I mean, they did barely miss an NFL record against a mediocre Denver team.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like anything else. You could only play who is on your schedule.
Right.
But if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, do they beat the Jets twice?
No.
If the Patriots had a quarterback, do they beat the Patriots twice?
Nope.
And I do like Mike McDaniel. He has an inspirational story being a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
And going through the things that he went through to get where he is now. And I like how he keeps it loose with his team. But this is one of those weird ones where sometimes, while I do like him and I think he's a great dude, similar to how I think Mike McCarthy's a great person.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in this case with Miami, you can't be everybody's best friend.
No.
Sometimes the guys just have to actually dislike you.
You have to.
And I'm not pinning that all on Coach McCarthy. I think Tua could have played better.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, who I have a world of respect for, he went through a lot this past week. I don't know how much that was weighing on him. Waddle was dinged up. Just everything wrong at the wrong time. I do believe that at minimum, Coach McDaniel deserves to run it back one more time.
I do too. I think with Miami, their problem is similar to Dallas. Where's your vocal leader? Okay, I know Tyreek does a lot of talking, but Tyreek does a lot of talking.
And make no mistake, the Bradley Chubb injury was huge.
Right. Yeah, big time. That's your edge rusher. Tyreek does a lot of talking, but he doesn't do a lot of talking like, look here, team. Mm-hmm. We got to go out there and bust some bam. We got to do our thing. He doesn't do that type of talking. He's more about promoting his brand and trash talking and all that. Where's that vocal leader?
Let me ask you a question.
You got to have a vocal leader. You have to. I go back to Tom Brady. People say Tom Brady was soft. No, you have to watch videos of Tom Brady. Peyton Manning. He said, no, you got to watch. Those guys are like the unfiltered Tom Brady and the unfiltered Peyton Manning. They were in your face. Even Aaron said how Peyton was. Peyton's like, look, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. Oh, I'm not throwing you the ball.
Let me ask you this, Noah. We're talking about your grandpa's favorite team. We're talking about the Miami Dolphins. Do you think that their fall off was due to lack of focus, or was it due to lack of planning?
I think it was.
You know this is only an hour-long show, right?
Okay, so I guess it's going to be focused.
Okay, well, guess what, kiddo? Whether you pulled that out of the sky or whether or not, you are actually correct.
I knew that was the right one. I did it right.
No, you know what it is, Noah? There were some things off the field that were affecting certain guys.
Yeah.
And it was too cold. Do you know how cold it was in Kansas City, dude? It felt like -20, over -20 with the wind chill.
I felt so chilly that.
You know
Me and your pop stayed up and watched some of that game the other night.
You know that's gonna be a clip, right?
I think
that's gonna be a reel right there.
You just made the reel because you're funny like that. You just made the reel.
It's only just an hour show.
Ow, that hurt.
Yeah, that's definitely a reel, dude. But
yeah, definitely hands. You're like Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog, too.
All right, we're gonna move this along.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
CJ Stroud is marvelous, and Joe Flacco looks his age in Texans' route over Browns. This to me is the easiest one to talk about.
Yeah.
We know that the Texans got their ass handed to them by the Browns the first time around. Amari Cooper had a historic day.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference, what happened in this matchup, was easy.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco could not read the defense in this one.
Mm-mm.
And something as simple as one missed call really swung the momentum.
Yeah.
But you got to be better mentally prepared. Going into this game, I said it. Kevin Stefanski as well as DeMeco Ryans were my two finalists for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
DeMeco Ryans outcoached him. His team was more prepared. DeMeco Ryans is the Coach of the Year, and I'm not even up for debating it.
I agree. They played so
my
loose.
My finger's gone. Broke it. Broke my finger. It just halfway off. Look at it. You're so strong.
You're going to be like Mike Tyson when he's like, my back, it's broken.
I'm trying to get it out, but he's so funny, man.
I'm just kidding.
The Texans. Hold up, man. Hold up, Noah. Hold on. Give me 5 minutes.
We got to let him just talk. You can make him laugh too much. Let's let him focus for a second.
The Texans played so loose. And it's like as it kept going on and on, you started to feel like they seemed like Green Bay yesterday. It's like, oh yeah, this is a walk in the park.
Yeah, these two kids at quarterback were sensational. Yeah. I mean, for first-time starters in a playoff game, you don't see that too often.
Yeah, DeMeco Ryan, you got to give it to him. I mean, he took a team that no one expected to win more than maybe 3 games.
Right.
And with a rookie quarterback who out of Ohio State, he goes in there like, okay, I got this. And he just takes his team on, man. And remember, DeMeco Ryans is a defensive coach, so they're only going to get better on defense.
Yeah, it's and you made a mention going into the year that you thought that Lovie Smith kind of put down a couple of foundational pieces where even though this team did not win much last year, they did compete. They were, and now this year, when you add Stroud, when you add DeMeco Ryans, when you keep filtering in talent, it seems like now they're winning games that last year they couldn't figure out in the fourth quarter. And they had some trials and tribulations.
Yep.
You know, they had some tough losses earlier in the year where people thought their season was over. And it did take Jacksonville really imploding down the stretch.
Yeah.
But DeMeco Ryans was something this year. And, it goes without saying, wildcard takeaways, the biggest one. Stroud and Love steal the show. Yeah. I would want to ask this. What are your thoughts on the future of Joe Flacco? Do you think he hangs it back up?
Dang,
because he was waiting on calls. It took a crazy circumstance to get back on the field, but just because he had a stinker in wild card weekend, I don't think that I could necessarily just ignore what he did prior to that game.
Yeah, I think he'll wait on calls. I don't. Dang.
I mean, how bad could it be to have him back up Watson?
He's
At
a
minimum.
good backup.
At
He's
minimum.
a good backup.
I mean, at this juncture of his career, he was waiting for the phone to ring for a backup role. I don't think at his age he was expecting. See, that's the Flacco right there, taking day naps, yawning, coming out of the doldrums, being a hero again.
Yeah. I think Cleveland has to really consider signing him as a backup because we seen what's his name, PJ.
Say goodbye.
I can't remember his last name. Noah.
No, you can stay. I thought you were on go.
Oh, we seen how the backups did this year. PJ Walker. That's what I was trying to think of. PJ Walker and the other kid. They just couldn't do it.
No,
they
nobody had the answers. Nobody had the answers.
Yeah, but we seen how Flacco. He was able. I mean, he had a bad game Saturday, but that doesn't take away what he did during the season. And consider just called him literally right off the couch. No training camp, no practice squad. Like, hey, can you come in and ball? So I think Cleveland needs to consider signing him. Even give him a deal like Tyrod Taylor had. $5 million.
I mean, I don't see how a guy like a Joe Flacco, similar to a Tyrod Taylor, guys who have been around the block quite some time, aren't beneficial when you are trying to be the glue, because backup quarterbacks don't get enough credit for all that they do to keep things right, especially in the film room. We're going to do a look ahead to today's Steelers-Bills game as well as Eagles-Buccaneers, and I'm going to leave last couple of minutes for something I want to speak on as well as Idris did. What are your thoughts here on both these games? I feel that the home teams in both cases, we spoke on it on the previous show, should both win.
Yeah.
Anything that you see that would sway that? I know you picked the Eagles, but that was before we knew that A.J. Brown wasn't going to play.
And I flipped the Buffalo. I'm not Buffalo. I flipped the Buccaneers. Yeah, I flipped the Buffalo.
Oh, so you are on the Bucs now?
Yeah. That's right at the end of the show. I said, let's go Bucs. Yeah, I think for some reason I think Philly's going to win.
Really?
No, I mean I have a feeling, but I'm not sure. It's more like a 30% thing. Well, I think Philly would, but without A.J. Brown, I don't think they will. I think Baker, we see, like I always say, good Baker, bad Baker. Good Baker balls out. Bad Baker doesn't really make the mistakes. He just doesn't make the plays. But I think they got enough. I think they got enough on the edges with Godwin and Evans to get it done.
Because this is the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Last show, a big question that we all kind of came across. Mm-hmm. While we know what Philly's issues are, can Baker Mayfield exploit them? But now you're talking on the other side of the ball. You don't have your best receiver. Right. You lost players in the Giants game. Your quarterback is playing, but he's not playing 100%. That he does have an issue with the hand. Mm-hmm. I just don't like any of this for the Eagles right now. I mean, the fact that they lost 6 of their last 8 also speaks volumes. Or 5. What was it? 5 of their last 7?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
As the Steelers-Bills go, defensive struggle. But Zappy made a good point off air, and I tend to agree with him. Mm-hmm. Zappy feels that if the Buffalo Bills and the Steelers would have played during that snowstorm, it would have favored Pittsburgh more because of the fact that they have a more established run game. Not saying that it's going to be pleasant there, but I do think that something like that where you prolong it, it does help the home team in this case.
Yeah, with this game, I want to pick Buffalo. I think I did pick Buffalo because I heard that Watt was out.
Yes. For the Bills, Gabe Davis will also not be playing.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, and Gabe Davis is.
I'm expecting a low-scoring game here, more than I originally. Yeah. I'm going like 20-13 Buffalo, something like that.
I'm like 17.
Yeah, there are not going to be a lot of points in this one, and it's like anything else. Josh Allen, as sensational as he is, and puts up a ton of points, still susceptible to the turnover, and that's something that Got to worry about.
I'm going 17-14 Steelers though.
Ooh, okay. You got the upset brewing. You got the
upset. I got the upset, man. It's Martin Luther King. It's Mike Tomlin. Yeah. I just think they got a better running game, and I think their defense is equipped to stop the run. I think if Buffalo throws the ball, which I don't see them really throwing much,
right?
We see how last year they played at home, and it was kind of snowy, and Josh Allen had a pretty bad game.
Mm-hmm.
So. And I got to bet on Tomlin, man. Because Tomlin, I'm saying Tomlin's the X factor, man.
This is my thing. If Watt was healthy, I'd feel better about that.
Yeah,
I'm still going Buffalo in a close one. The fact that Tomlin even got these guys here speaks on how valuable he is. As the Bucks and Eagles go, I got that being a little more high scoring. I'm gonna go Bucks 30, Eagles 23. I got the Bills 20. The Steelers 13. Noah, who's winning the Bills and Steelers? Who you got winning? Bills or Steelers?
Bills, because I've never heard of the Steelers. So.
Well, I got to teach you a little bit more about them because they have the most Lombardi trophies. Eagles or Buccaneers?
Never mind.
Oh, now you're changing it up, huh?
You're gonna change it up? You're gonna go with the Steelers?
Yeah.
What about the Eagles and the Buccaneers?
Never the Eagles, so Buccaneers.
Yeah, my man.
Smart man. That's the right answer.
Say hi to Aaron Moorhead. Say hi, Coach Moorhead.
Hi, Coach Moorhead.
All right. Sorry, Aaron. I kind of instilled that in him. Anyone but the Eagles. Taking it to a little more of a serious note, before we get out of here, we know why schools, banks, and such are closed today. The contributions and the ultimate sacrifice of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Whereas some junctures of society and over the years, I feel that we have come so far. Sadly, I feel that over the past few years, we've kind of walked backwards yet again. And when I think about what he stood for, what he meant, and what he wanted unity. He wanted all of us to see each other as one and the same. We bleed the same. We worry the same. We have the same goals. We have the same aspirations. We feel the same pains.
Yeah.
And when I think about the bravery that it took to take a stand in such a turbulent time in this country, I think it's very important that we take some time to reflect on his legacy and why his memory should never be forgotten.
I agree. And I think what gets missed is like it wasn't just for Black people. People think he's like, he was just fighting. No, he's fighting for equality for all of us.
Equality for all.
Let's be one, as the thing says, one nation under God.
Absolutely.
It wasn't all about just Black people and people of color. It's like, we can be together. We can live together. We can coexist. We don't have to fight. We don't have to look at each other based on the visual.
Absolutely. Because as simple as it sounds and how far we've come away from it, the simplicities of it. You put two children together, a Black kid, a white kid, a Spanish kid, Italian kid, whatever have you, an Asian kid.
They're going to play.
Hatred is not just naturally happening. That's something that is taught. That's something that's unacceptable, and especially in the year 2024. Come on now. But, it's like anything else. You put two children together, they're going to do what they do, and that's play.
They're going to play. And I remember me coming up, in the Bronx, I lived in a predominantly Italian neighborhood. But me and my brother, we used to go out there and play with the Italian. We had Puerto Rican kids. And we'd be out there playing football, tag, hide and go seek, stickball. Everybody knows New York know about stickball.
Absolutely.
We were out there, and the parents left us alone. They didn't bother us. But now I see it's different now as a grandparent now. Even as just a parent, I saw how the things were shifting. And I was like, it used to be where the black kid and the white kid can run around and play, or the Puerto
Absolutely.
Rican kid. But now it's like everyone is so, even our churches are segregated.
It's sad. It's sad. And I had the privilege of saying that at a young age, I was able to see so many different cultures up front and in full bloom because of some of the teammates I had, a lot of the families that we had. You know, we grew up very tight together, like in terms of our community. One thing that I appreciate about where I'm from is that regardless of cultural background, we all had each other's back when it came down to as the parents that I saw and who I admire many. So like even with our football games, like our towns shut down. You know, our coaching staff was mixed. You know, Italian coach, Irish coach, a black coach, Puerto Rican coach, you know. And that's one thing that I think was very beautiful at an early age, was to go to bat for one another and come together for one common goal. And I believe that when you look at even our history, like in Vietnam, you know, you had people from all over.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, the thought of regressing, going backwards, to me just is unacceptable. And I think that ultimately that was Martin Luther King's dream, was to see each other as one family and one and the same.
You know something? It's funny because, see, like, you've learned more about my life than a lot of people that's known me 20, 30, 40 years. And something else with my life, like, I have a lot of Irish blood in me.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I got a lot of Irish blood. You know, and people say, no, I said, I got a lot of Irish blood in me.
Bro.
It may not show on my skin, but I got a lot of Irish.
Bro.
Say, no. Yeah.
You know what's wild?
Yeah.
You know how you're a former boxer, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever messed with the Ray Donovan series?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
The brother? Daryl?
Yeah.
What was his name? Black Irish. Bro, that was wild. But Mickey Donovan got to be the worst handler ever.
Oh my God.
What a man, that dude was shady. Shout out John Voight, great job on that show. But bro, he had a fight in like freaking Mexico. My God, got to be the worst dad ever.
Like my niece Marina, she sometimes pops up on the casual convo. She'll tell you, I got Irish stuff hanging in my kitchen. You know,
I was not aware of that, Idris.
Yeah, I got Irish, and you know, that's why I don't have this hatred towards the different. I said I can't do that when that blood is in me.
Well, the way I look at it too, like if you ever take a trip on Ancestry, you find out that we are more alike more and more when you're willing to do the research. And like, for instance, friend of the show, Richard Doherty, my oldest friend in life. Big shout out for trying to help me out recently with a, post, reaching out to a lot of people. But I'll tell you, man, like even he'll watch this when he watches it. He's like, oh, damn, Idris is Irish too. But this is what I mean, though. This is exactly what I mean.
The thing about it is, I didn't find out through Ancestry. My aunt, Kathleen Williams, rest in peace, she would go back and forth to Africa and go back and forth to England. And she told us, she said, you guys are Irish. You guys got some, it ain't a lot of blood, but we got it's more than 1%. It's more than 5%. It's more than 10%. And I told her, and she said, you guys have Irish in you.
You know where this guy's from? Like in terms of like some of his ancestry background? You want to tell him about Alaska a little?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, buddy. You're on. You can tell Mr. Idris.
Alaska is really cold. That snows.
And what is the capital of Alaska? We've been going over this in the car. Sometimes when we get bored, we go over state capitals. I'm gonna whisper it to you.
Juneau.
Yes, sir.
Juno. Juno and I know.
That's right.
I was up there at the 42nd. It is cold.
He wants to go there. It's a big deal to him. He wants to go.
It's beautiful up there.
Mr. Idris has been there. Listen to him.
Alaska's beautiful. It's cold. Sometimes you may not see the sun, but it's nice up there. I was up there for about 3 weeks for snow training. It's nice though. It's real nice.
Yeah, Mr. Idris been to a lot of places. He also been to Germany.
Germany.
Mr. Idris lived in Germany too, dude.
Germany.
Mr. Idris used to be a boxer.
Yep.
Mr. Idris, also a DJ. Very, very interesting guy, Mr. Idris.
Me and Richie, we going to
I'm
the top.
stronger than you.
Wait, you showing the gun show?
We're gonna find out.
Show him the gun
You
show?
want a gun show? You want a gun? You want to have an arms race? Okay. That kid's crazy, man.
And let me ask you a question. See Mr. Idris doing it? You see you doing it. What is it? What are we? One and the same, right?
Yeah.
That's
it.
right.
That's it.
right, my guy.
I'm same. Long strong. You should feel my muscles
Oh,
one
we
day.
can have an
And
arms race.
Your
We can have
arm
an
will
arms
blow
race.
up. Your hand will blow up, I swear.
We can have an
Your
arms
hand
race.
For Idris and for my guy Noah, I am Richie. Thank you so much for spending a small part of your Monday with us. Announcements to come. More than likely, I will be back tomorrow morning to go over today's results with all of you. And there will be a preview for round 2 of the NFL playoffs. Say goodbye to Mr. Idris.
Bye-bye.
See you, Noah, man.
Good job, fellas. I had a